What's so fascinating to me about Love is Blind is that it's proving that superficiality for straight men is not just about appearances, because it has not failed every single season. Last season, what's his name chose Colleen without seeing her, and she was a hot commodity for several of the men. This season, Micah was a hot commodity for several of the men. And I think it just goes to show that, like, men are not just looking for a physical superficiality. I think they're also looking for a personality and energetic superficiality. And even without seeing a woman, they are seeking a level of simplicity that will not challenge their woundedness or their biases. Zach is also a great example because I think he would have been challenged by the tenderness and kindness of Bliss. His wounds would have been challenged. And so, therefore, he allowed himself to be bullied by the superficiality of Irina without seeing her. I want some of your brownsugar. I want some of your brownsugar.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, Superficiality commentating. I'm your girl, Kayla. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for my videos about Black entertainment, Black womanhood, and whatever else I feel time of the week. Alright, let's get right into it. So as y'all can see, I'm giving y'all Farrah Fawcett 70s realness, okay, with my little Bobby Yana, okay? We gotta shake things up for the first day of the best month of the year. That is right. We are in May, okay, aka my birthday month, honey. Okay, so look forward to making all the great content for this month and beyond, okay? Announcement. My Tyler Perry chaotic ranking is coming, part 2. I have had that sitting. I filmed that video in the exact same day. It's just I have to edit it, and I have been hella lazy. I ain't gonna hold you, but I will be getting y'all that video soon, hopefully within the next week or two. So hold on for that. But today's video, we'll be talking about the reality dating show It Girl, the talk of the town for the past month, Miss Love is Blind. But this will not be a breakdown of the season or anything like that. I will be talking about the season, of course, but not in a recap type of way. If you do want to see that type of content, head over to my TikTok, because I do talk about my thoughts and opinions about the couple and the season and all of that. Like I said, I will have my opinion sprinkled in, of course, but it's not that type of video, babes, because I feel like we've done that already. Like, people have amazing videos on that, so definitely check those out. But what I want to talk about today is specifically the superficiality of Love is Blind, especially what it's become in the past 3 seasons, okay? So let's just get right into it, shall we? So when we think about Love is Blind season 1, we think about the cultural phenomenon it was. It was literally right before quarantine. Like, a lot of us, because I personally watched it right before. I remember watching it in my apartment at my grad school campus. Like, I was tuned in and glued in, because I told y'all I love me a reality dating show. Like, and the premise of this sounded absolutely bonkers, because of course we had Married at First Sight, which for y'all don't know, that's a reality dating show over on Lifetime, which is basically, you know, 2 people get married having never seen each other, which is bonkers. But this was a little bit more interesting because these were people who are essentially like speed dating with a whole bunch of strangers and having these deep, intimate conversations over the course of a couple of days. You know, they choose the person they have the strongest connection with, propose to them, move in with them for like a couple of weeks, and then get married. Like, that is equally as bonkers, because you really propose to a person you don't even know looks like physically, right? Like, that's just crazy. And season 1 was such a gem because these were people who had no idea how this show was going to go. And we got the most raw and authentic reactions, I believe, from the contestants. And we got, you know, the greatest success story of them all, which was Lauren and Cameron. And it really had us looking forward to more seasons, because we felt that, you know, the show just had that right amount of balance of chaos and drama, but also the good love stories as well. However, what we have seen in the past 3 seasons is anything but that. And while we get glimmers of some decent couples, with the most interesting couple since Lauren and Cameron, in my opinion, being Tiffany and Brett this season, it really just nothing ever had the magic that season 1 truly had. And it feels that with every season, more and more people are only coming on for the fame and notoriety for the 15 minutes, or to be invited to another Netflix, another installment of the Netflix cinematic universe with with this Perfect Match show that just came out a couple of months ago, or The Circle, or Too Hot to Handle, or whatever the hell, show they're going to come up with next. Because, that's it, or to get the TikTok followers, because I promise you, after every freaking season of Love is Blind, all the contestants will show up on my For You page faithfully, right? Or you see the people of season 2 is still holding on with all their many podcasts and this and that, and I'm just like, babes, if y'all don't go back to y'all real jobs and cut the foolishness, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it feels like the people get more and more the connections get more and more surface level and forced, and the people just get shallower and shallower, and it's just like, what the hell is the point of this show at this point? And while I do think that Netflix is a little bit hypocritical in their premise, you call the show Love is Blind, and of course love can be blind when you put two conventionally attractive people together, because when you look at the people who come on this show, most of them are not ugly. Most of them don't seem like they had trouble dating in the real world, to be honest. They all seem, most of the people are what? They're usually, like I said, conventionally attractive, thin, athletic, no physical deformities, no type of, physical disabilities, none of that. Like I said, there were only one girl who was on the bigger side with Alexa in season 3, but she seems to be the only one, and I think she was the only one that season. And like I said, in terms of men, we haven't seen that either. Most of them are pretty thin or have like gym bodies or whatever. And you already know they barely want to put any minorities on there. And I've noticed even when certain minority contestants do end up getting engaged, because there are instances where there are people who get engaged on the show, but they just don't get filmed, more often than not, they are people who are minorities. Because I think it was 2 Asian contestants this season who got engaged. Well, I don't think it lasted, but they didn't get any camera time, which I find to be interesting. But like I said, when it comes to the superficiality of this show, we definitely have seen it. And I think it's very interesting where men are concerned, because it feels like men are trying to cheat the experiment. And when I say that, I mean that when you see some of these men and the connections that they make, especially the very strong ones they may have, these women are giving them nothing. They're giving them dust. They're giving them imagination and vibes. And yet they end up being the pick of the litter, honey, to say lack of a better word. Like, it just feels like these men, whether I think some of them are trying to gauge who the woman is based on some of the answers that she gives or lack thereof, her profession or her hobbies, or even what her voice sounds like. Because let's be honest here, you can tell what a blonde white woman sounds like. I'm so sorry about it. Like, these men are not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. And like, because you'll see, like I said, you'll see people like Ballerina Girl last season. Like, she wasn't giving the boys nothing. And while some of the boys, like, I think it was Cole, who were like, oh, like, we're not having any deep conversations, she still was able to make a connection with Matt over absolutely nothing. Or even someone like, what was her name? Shayna. Like, Shayna wasn't giving these men nothing. She wasn't talking about anything that deep, just there for vibes. And then now, and even to go back to season 1 with Jessica, she had both Barnett and I forget the other guy that she was with, Mark. I think his name was Mark. Once again, Jessica wasn't giving them anything other than her being like a girl boss, corporate girly, like, girl boss, corporate girly, like, wine dog mom type of girl. You know what I'm talking about. Like, she wasn't giving them any type of intimate, deep introspections about who she is and her values or any of that. Like, everything just felt surface level with both the connections, yet she was able to get proposed to. Like, it's nuts. And it's the same thing whoever Shayna was with, both Shane and the other dude. Like, once again, what was Shayna giving y'all? Like, nothing. And now this season you had Micah, who had both Paul and Kwame, and she wasn't giving them anything personality wise. I don't remember her giving no type of, deeply intimate story about herself or her childhood or anything. She was mostly just kind of listening to these men vent about their lives and everything. And I think it's because she don't gotta try. Like I said, she's a blonde-haired white woman. Like, what she's never probably had to try for any of that type of stuff. And I think both Kwame and Paul made up in their minds and their head of who they think Micah is, or the potential of what Micah could be for them, or what she represents to them. But she wasn't giving them anything to really go off of. All she probably was giving is that she's an attractive girl and she's a hot commodity, clearly, and that's about it. Which is why it's not shocking that in the end Paul had at least a little bit of sense to not marry her. But it's like, if it was Kwame would have rolled it off to the end. And we're going to get to Kwame in a second, honey. But neither here nor there. Paul and Kwame Micah was giving them her behind to kiss. Okay, both of them. And they was eating it up because they felt like, well, she's doing all that. She clearly is a woman who has choices. Okay? And the other thing was when it came to Irina this season with Zach. And Zach is so unserious. Like, he the people's champ for y'all, but I will never see it for that man. I will never, ever, ever see it for that man. He seems like a nice dude and everything, but based on this whole thing with him, Bliss, and Irina, I'm never going to see it for him, and I'm never going to see it for them. Like, wish y'all the best of luck, but like, I'm not standing the way y'all are standing. Okay, because with Zach, it was so painfully obvious that Irina was not attracted to him and she did not like him. She was literally just playing the game. Like, she did not like that man. And he knew that. She was being nasty, both in the pods and outside in the living quarters with the girls. And Bliss was trying to tell you that. Like, your judge of character is trash, because there's no way that you thought that Irina was going to be the love of your life. Like, there's just no way. But I think it's because, like I said, because Irina was having this I peaked in high school energy, that like it was something about that gave Zach the impression that she was an attractive woman, and she was probably going to be more attractive than Bliss, because Bliss was a little bit quirkier, a little bit more awkward, or whatever, when in real life we know that to be the complete opposite. And that the fact that it was so interesting it's so crazy how him and Bliss was having all these interesting conversations about their his childhood trauma, his upbringing, his values, and Bliss was talking about something that she'd been through and her feelings and all of that, and she's constantly affirming him and all of that stuff, and he still was entertaining Irina. Like, it made no goddamn sense. And then what was the biggest indication that this was just a crap fest is the fact that it was your birthday and Bliss made you cupcakes, and Irina couldn't even make you a handmade card or something. Like, she really could have finessed the situation. That she didn't even have to say she forgot your birthday. Like, she really could have finessed. She had nothing but time and space to do something for you, and she chose not to. If that's not a big indication that she don't give a crap about you, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? But I say this to say is that it seems that, like I said, the girl that gives you the most personality-wise and effort-wise seems to be the ones that y'all gravitate towards the most. And it's just really crazy to me, other than for me to think that you think that these girls are attractive. And then when it comes to the minority dudes on this show, I've already made a video talking about how black women be having a terrible time on these reality dating shows. But, in this situation, it's not just the black girls, it's literally all the minority girls are just not having a good time, especially if they are paired with a man who is a part of their same racial group or something like that. Because let's go back to season 2 with Mr. Shake, okay? Shake, who was another one who was flat out trying to figure out what women were looking like physically, because he was asking them, like, if I could lift you up on my shoulders at a concert or something to that effect, to figure out if the girls were fat or not. But the other thing was that he flat out said that he only have dated like white blonde women. And then when he ends up getting connected with Deepti, and she is also, you know, Indian as well, and they meet in person and he fails to make a physical bond with her because he doesn't find her attractive, it's just like, what the hell is going on here? What is going on here? Like, this is it in the criteria for this show for like, oh, are you a part of a, you know, a racial minority? Do you like, you know, the opposite sex in that racial minority? No? Come on down. Come on down. Display all your self-hatred issues on this show, because it was just crazy to me that Shake was like, yeah, I see her like an auntie. I'm just like, boy, what? Huh? But he's not the only one, of course. We also have, you know, Mr. SK of last season. And while SK didn't display his anti-blackness, you know, during his season because he chose Raven, and Raven is biracial, we find out later on that he was there having multiple relationships with white blonde women, okay, who look nothing like Raven. And that is why he kept talking about how he wanted a non-traditional Nigerian woman. He meant like not Nigerian as in not black at all. Not a sliver of black in her. Which is just a choice. His decision to call himself SK, I didn't even look what SK stood for, but it's a part of him trying to appeal to a certain type of woman. I'm a firm believer now, okay? And then this season you have Mr. Kwame, okay? And Kwame likes to be revisionist now and likes to blame a lot of how nasty he looked on camera on editing. But kept on stage when I was watching his podcast with his wife and Angel and Marcus and all them, if you know, you know. When I was watching their podcast of the breakdown of the season, he was talking about, like, people love to talk about editing, but it's just like, if you weren't saying and doing half of those things, they would have no footage to edit from. So it's just like, yeah, I get it. Some production likes to make a certain narrative of a person, but at the same time, if you were not saying and doing half of those things, they would have no footage to doctor up. Like, it's not like it's AI footage. Like, that's you caught in 4K. Like, you said you was trying to go by Alex because that was going to appeal to a wider scope of women. If you just went by Kwame, you said that. Like, yeah, you said, oh, he tried to say that, oh, later they, like, cut out the part where he said, well, I'm not going to do that. But I'm like, why would you say that per the first part? Like, why would you even say that at all? That makes no sense. And then it makes it worse because you're there talking about your little sad story about when I was at prom and I had a girlfriend and I couldn't take her to prom because her parents were racist. And I'm like, do you want me to play the world's smallest violin for you? That's racism, baby. And you live in Seattle or Portland, whichever one. Black people don't be there like that. So, like, I don't feel bad for you. Like, that's your choice. Okay? But my thing is, it's like, you chose, like I said, 2 white blonde women. It's one thing if, like I said, you just so happen to end up with white women, but it seems that you were actively trying to choose a blonde white woman. Like, you can't convince me otherwise, Mr. Kwame / Alex, whoever you're going by these days. And so Kwame, like I said, you see that he gave, because Micah was giving you the least amount, you were going for her. But like I said, in general, you just were not looking for people of your own race. And I find that to be deplorable. Okay? And then even going back to, like, someone like Bartiz. Bartiz was another one that was between Raven and Nancy. And he was giving Nancy the business when he ended up getting with her because he wasn't attracted to her. Because, once again, Bartiz liked white women. You see that baby here the other day? That's a white baby. That's a white man's baby. Okay? Because he don't like no type of ethnic woman. Okay? And Nancy was Hispanic, honey. Okay? But yeah, now you got Mr. Marshall. And while, here's the thing. So Marshall was with Jackie, right? He didn't have anyone, I don't think, from what we know, he was between. But Jackie was between him and Josh. And Josh gave like pretty boy, F boy type tease, and Marshall was like certified lover boy. Or what did he call him? Certified something. Josh called him a certified something. Certified loser boy or crier boy or something like that. But neither here nor there. Jackie, is Latina, and she, when she met Marshall, she chose Marshall. She is very clear that Marshall was not her physical type, but I feel like she probably knew that based on how he was so emotionally mature. That it probably is not gonna look the way with the tattoos and all that. Not to say that men that have the tattoos and all those things don't have the potential to do that, but like on this show, let's be serious. But she ends up breaking things off with Marshall before they even get to the altar. It starts a relationship with Josh, because she didn't flat out say it, but we all know. And then she even tried to insinuate off camera that he was gay or I guess bisexual or something, off camera. And I feel like that's also why she was, I guess, turned off by him. But I bring Marshall and Jackie up in this conversation because obviously Jackie is superficial, and she's a bad person. So sorry. Or at least what we saw on TV was bad. But with Marshall ended up having a series of tweets that he made about 10 or so years ago, where he is, dogging out black women and, fetishizing Latina women and basically saying things about black women like, oh, we're all going to end up single and, because we're bitter and we're always talking about how men are not this and that. And that's why he wants a Latina woman. And it's just like, everyone has gave their takes and I gave my take about it, but I will say it here. What I find to be crazy about it is the fact that everyone was trying to defend Marshall and also try to say like, oh, we forgive you, Marshall, when the disrespect was never towards you. I see non-black people or black men defending Marshall and trying to, justify whatever. And it's very interesting because, like, how y'all gonna accept an apology when the disrespect was not towards y'all? The insult was not for you. It was for black women. So black women are inclined to say, yeah, it was 10 years ago and I don't care. I still don't like you. Like, sorry. Like, I don't understand it because what Marshall said is not something that is rare or weird or something. Like 10 plus years ago, that was the rhetoric on Twitter. Like, or if it wasn't the thing on Twitter, it was the men in the wigs on Vine trying to be the ghetto girl chewing gum or the hot Cheeto girl, whatever. Like, it's whatever, or the click clacking of the nails. Like, y'all know exactly what y'all be doing. So it's just like, y'all acting like this, it has not been a trend for 10 plus years to make fun of black women. And it looks bad on Marshall's part, given on who exactly he chose in the pods. Because Jacqueline was not giving him nothing in terms of a person that looked like a good candidate to be, in a serious commitment with. Like, it just wasn't giving that to me personally. She seemed like a fun girl, but like I said, she really wasn't having no type of deep moments talking about anything, where Marshall was having a lot of deep conversations with her. But what makes it interesting with Marshall also is that once they had this, that argument in Mexico where he says to her that, oh, I saw you as a project. I'm like, that also would make sense as to why you chose Jackie, because not only is she your quote unquote preference, but she is, while she doesn't have everything that you would probably want in a person, you're willing to work with it and essentially mold her into the woman you want her to be because she has the physical traits that you want. Be serious. Like I said, even if he doesn't, think of black women the way that he did back then, I think subconsciously some of those beliefs are still there that he probably doesn't even realize or didn't realize until now. Because even with Jackie was giving him nothing. She was giving him hell the entire time. But yeah, he still showed up to that suit fitting, like, ready to get married to this girl. And I'm just like, sir, what are you finna marry to? Like, at least she had a little bit of sense to say, I'm not finna marry you. At least let's not waste any time and let grandma get the good girdle on and all that just to waste our time. Like, I'm just, I'm just saying, like, it's better off that way. Like, still nasty, still trash. And like I said, I don't believe that Marshall deserved what happened to him by any means. But it is something for him to sit back and look at himself. And now, you know, I see that he is dating a light-skinned black woman, which is like, kudos to you. But at the same time, it does give me pause. It does. And I think that, you know, it's just real interesting. He wanted to hard launch that girlfriend when he was just on that one man's podcast saying he didn't even know if he wanted to be in a relationship or whatever. Like, it's not like that podcast was pre-recorded. That was literally last week after the reunion. Like, and then what, by 2-3 days later, you get hot water for this whole thing and now you want to debut your black girlfriend? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, wish all the best to you, bestie. But, like, I'm just saying. But like I said, people like Marshall come on this show all the damn time. And like I said, love is a preference for these men. They are not interested in building those type of deep bonds with these women. They're trying to see what woman sounds good enough for them on paper for them to essentially mold them into what they want them to be or create whatever narrative they want in their mind. Even though these women are not giving them anything. And the women that do have the personality, the women that do have, you know, the qualities that you would want in a wife are the ones that get tossed to the side or are the second choice or are the ones who just get ignored altogether. Because as we see, like, we barely saw any other black woman this season other than freaking Tiffany. But shout out to Tiffany, though. At least my girl Tiffany found love. And Brett seems like a solid dude. I'm really going to hope for the best with those two. Like, they really top two, right at two, under Lauren and Cameron, and a breath of fresh air. And people like to say they're boring. And I'm like, anytime y'all see a stable couple on this show, y'all love to say they're boring. Like, you need a little boring, especially with this goddamn season. You need a little balance. We need balance, okay? But yeah, that's really what it is. I mean, I'm not expecting Love is Blind to really reevaluate the casting process. Like I said, the ship has sailed. All hopes of really genuine connections are out the window for me. It's just pure entertainment at this point. Even though most of the entertainment seems to be off camera than what's on camera. Because I'm telling you, TikTok be CSI investigators with these people, honey. In the past, especially the past 2 seasons. And I think they've already filmed, like, the next 2 seasons. So, like I said, any, like, notes or critiques I have, we're not going to really see it until maybe 2-3 years from now. And even then, Netflix knows they're already being... The mess is lucrative, right? Mess is lucrative. But like I said, for the people, the true people who come in with the genuine intentions, they're the ones that end up getting emotionally damaged and scarred. And that's why Netflix got to get sued for bad conditions with the way y'all housing these people. Like, talk about they got these people filming for hours and they can't go to the bathroom, can't do this. The girl was having an emotional breakdown, Danielle from season 2, I think. And they were like, yes, let's get it on film. Like, even with Jackie, when she had that emotional breakdown in Mexico, they're just like, yes, keep it rolling. Like... But that's another story for the day, honey. But yeah, those are all my thoughts about the superficiality of Love is Blind. Y'all let me know about y'all thoughts. What do y'all think about this season? What do you think about the couples? Who do y'all like? Who y'all didn't like? What do you think about the way that, you know... What do you think about, will Love is Blind ever return to the magic that was season 1? Do you think that if they do overhaul their casting processes, will that ever, you know, will we ever see something like a season 1 again? What do you think? What changes need to be made? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll definitely see y'all in my next video. Peace.